we can only do so much in regard to reintegrating a person back into the community. I think other departments and other agencies have a vital role to play also. And as I said, we're only one link in that big chain. And I think if there's a breakage or a weak link, that makes our task difficult. My name's Gary Creighton. I'm a Gomeroi Murray man from Moree in northwestern New South Wales. And I suppose in a sense I've been involved with the Aboriginal Legal Service as a whole when it first came to my hometown in Moree back in the early 70s. And that was mainly due to my eldest brother Ernie's involvement at that time. At that time he was the first Aboriginal field officer when the office opened in Moree. And I suppose his role with the service back then sort of influenced me over the years in my involvement. I know when the office first opened in Tamworth, I became back then the community development officer, which is the equivalent to the position now as field officers. And I did 7 years with the CAL, as they called them then. It was Camilaroi Aboriginal Legal Service at that time. And my 7 years with the service really opened my eyes on issues affecting Aboriginal people in the judicial system. And I think the big thing is my role back then, in my 7 years with the service, was being that advocate and that arbitrator between government and non-government agencies, and how best those agencies work alongside our people. And I think we needed that role because a lot of those agencies were in conflict with us due to past government policies, and we were a little bit reluctant to work with and in partnership with those agencies. And I think having a service like the Legal Service becomes our arbitrator, I suppose, in a sense, that they assist us in, I suppose, breaking down barriers with those services to make them culturally appropriate for us as Aboriginal people. We, at that time, played a big role in, I suppose, breaking down the jargon used by solicitors and barristers and the court system, and making our people, I suppose, more aware of the role of the system, the judicial system I'm talking about, and also giving them ownership and understanding of their rights within that system. Mate, I think every day that I worked with the service at that time was a learning curve, because there was something new. There was different cases, there was different case law, different criminal matters, and you were working with a variety of people. Although you were working for the legal service, you worked with the judicial system, you worked with the correctional services, community services, juvenile justice, apart from having contact with barristers, magistrates and judges. And I think every day that I spent over that 7 years with the legal service really opened my eyes to the legal system. We used to do regular visits at that time, where we would go in and speak to prisoners in there that was on remand, or prisoners that were coming up for sentence, seeking limited information in regard to reports for those prisoners. We weren't in a position to give any legal advice because we're not trained in that area and we weren't solicitors. But we'd take on board what those prisoners offered us, and we'd relay that information back to solicitors that were representing them. And we'd also be a bit of an arbitrator between the inmates and the service and solicitors, to give the solicitors a bit of a clear understanding of what was going on with that particular client. I think it plays a vital role in keeping the contact between inmates and community and family, and I think that's very important in doing that. I think for whatever reason, for whatever time a prisoner has to do, he's in there for a particular reason. He's in there to as a part of his retribution, I suppose, and that while he's in there, he needs that contact with family. And I think family plays a major part in how that person is going to integrate back into the community upon release. The legal service is only one cog in a chain of many things. We can only do so much in regard to reintegrating a person back into the community. I think other departments and other agencies have a vital role to play also. And as I said, we're only one link in that big chain. And I think if there's a breakage or a weak link, that makes our task difficult. And I think all those other agencies and departments need to come on board with us and work with us so that we don't have repeated offenders. We do have people integrating back to the community. Well, I think me, as in a board member representing my area, I think my role is vital in how that particular area is represented on a state board. I'm a local Gomeroi man. I'm lived in my country all my life, and I'm aware of a majority of the issues that occur in my community. And I think with that behind me, and with the trust of my community, I think I've got an obligation, a community obligation, a cultural obligation, to pass those concerns on to my state board and to have those issues addressed. I think trust plays a big part, knowing that you can go to a service that's wholly and solely operated by an Aboriginal service and operated and run by an Aboriginal board. I think it was very difficult for those Aboriginal workers back then because there was you can imagine more in the 60s and 70s, there was still a hell of a lot of distrust out there and suspicion about Aboriginal people. And I often, give credit for what they went through and the struggle they fought to get where we are. And I can't give them enough credit for doing what they did and for what they put up with. Those blokes were ostracised, in a sense, from the rest of the community. And I think we all need to acknowledge that and acknowledge those individuals that fought the fight for us. Mate, it was not saying that it was any different to any other community across the northwest, but we had our times up there and it was trying. And we were lucky, I suppose, in the sense that we had a service there that we could call on if we had trouble with the police or whatever, to get that legal advice and to actually have someone there to represent us. We, at that time, played a big role in, I suppose, breaking down the jargon used by solicitors and barristers and the court system, and making our people, I suppose, more aware of the role of the system, the judicial system I'm talking about, and also giving them ownership and understanding of their rights within that system.